Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel. My name is Whack Whack Attack, and Rocket Fuel is your daily update for everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. Today is November 2nd, and let's get started. Today's a really sad episode. So, last night, Marceau wrote a comment on General saying, "Hey all, I'm heading out. I wanted to say thanks for all the friendships and engaging discussion. Rocket Pool is a special place for me, and I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish here as a community member. Ultimately, I think Rocket Pool has value because of its community, and its community has or doesn't have value based on its objectivity and civility. At this point, I think there's room for much productive discourse, but I wanted to take a minute to clarify a few popular opinions." So these were takes that people have had over the weekend about Marceau, that I've talked about on Rocket Fuel at least a couple of times. Basically, yesterday and on Monday, I talked about this vilifying of Marceau and like how people in the community are. Yesterday I used the word arseholes, but like maybe I shouldn't have. But like it's just been really tough for certain people. So this idea that Marceau just wants to farm inflation, fuck the whales, and then he kind of responded about how that's not the case and that's never the position that he's had. It says Marceau threatened to dump on us and is trying to bully the vote. And then Marceau explained about how that wasn't the case and how that's never been his intention to do that. And then he was explaining how he's not a seller, but how how much RPL he has as part of his conviction in the protocol, and how there's ways of going about things, right? Like about growth and stuff. And says Marceau tried to push something through without a vote. And he says, I think I did the opposite. A week ago, the plan was to bundle NETH with LEBs and vote to ratify, which would have cost past the LEBs since LEBs are widely popular. I felt that if we hadn't done due process and alternatives and put my foot down, I'm happy with the sophistication of the discussion, and we've very clearly met the bar for engagement and participation. So I'm happy and think I did what was necessary, and it was a worthy hill to die on. Take care of yourself and each other. Everyone here loves Rocket Pool. Peace. So, as I said yesterday, right, like Marceau is my friend. I met him in person. We talk like a fair amount, and he's a really cool guy. And I've had the opportunity to meet with him in person and talk about what drives his love for Rocket Pool, what drives his like multi-million-dollar investment in Rocket Pool, and everything that he's done in that time has been, from his perspective, for what he thinks is the best for the community. There were certain things that Marceau could do that nobody else in the community can, as far as I know. The way that he talked to investment funds and hedge funds, I know that Jasper's done some of that. The way Marceau's talked to other whales, I know that like certain people might have done that as well. The way he's really gotten the word out on Twitter, obviously some of the community members are quite popular on Twitter as well. However, I think the complete package that Marceau brought, the perspective that he brought, the experiences that he brought were definitely unique, and also were definitely extremely valuable to the community and to the protocol. And him not being in the protocol much anymore is going to hurt us all in one, like maybe not monetarily, maybe not ratio wise, maybe not like all that kind of stuff, but it will hurt the community a lot, because he was like one of the best of us, right? And now he's not here, so we only have ourselves to blame, I think. Okay. So then a lot of people like said supportive things. There was some toxicity about the whole thing all over again. Superfist turned up and was talking about how we need to be careful about how we drive out members of our communities, and without our communities we're nothing. Let me just see what I can find about Superfizz. Sorry. And he says, you have all of my affection, Marceau. I place far more value on the strength of our community than the outcome of any single vote. Many folks here ought to recognize that people have the opportunity to spend their time in places other than Rocket Pool, and if we don't create a friendly and welcoming atmosphere, then this community will become a cesspool. So what's funny is that Superfizz actually got people like showing him that toxicity directly, which was really, really disappointing to see. Like it's just horrible. So by the time that this had happened, I'd tried to present the case for flat 24, which is the position that I support, and I talked about on Monday with my biases, or was it yesterday with my biases? I don't remember. I think it was Monday with my biases. I talked about why that would be financially advantageous to me, how it would allow me to stake more of my RPL that I have liquid on the sides. I totally get that, right? Like, there is definitely that element involved. However, for me, the point I was trying to make was that that would be the best for the protocol in the short to medium term. And I felt like people in trading were mocking, were dismissive, and it was a lot. It was really difficult for me to do that. And I don't know, like, I feel like the conversations that I've had since then, like this morning I went to governance and they talked about the same issues, and just the different composition of people in governance meant that the conversation was 1,000 times more productive than the conversation that I was having in trading. And then the personal conversations that I had on the side, my whale back channels, I'm not even gonna, the conversations that I've had on the sides with people who are also very well respected members of the community have shown that there are conversations to be had and there are nuances to be discussed, and it's not as clear cut as the more tribal members of the NETH crowd are presenting, or refusing to acknowledge or engage with any alternative discourse. So it's been a really rough few days in the Rocket Pool community. This morning I posted a thing on Rocket Fuel channel, the thread, that I'm not going to make a Rocket Fuel video today. I didn't feel like it, but I feel like there's still stuff that needs to be shared, and the way that things have gone is like people kind of depend on me now, right, to get information from the community. It's just today, like, it's really hard to make this episode. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. Dave sent a message a little while after Marceau did, and put it into a protocol, which was like an announcement to everyone here. He says, "Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Rocket Pool is an old project, 6 years old now to be exact, and our first mainnet birthday is approaching rapidly in just a week. It's so old, the team used to even play Quake with community members here on a Friday. 10 points to you if you were around for that. Not going to lie, I hosted the server for that in Australia, so I had a better ping than everyone else." Being in the ecosystem for so long, we've developed a fantastic grassroots community, from evangelists to educators to your hobby node operator who just like to poke their head in whenever Joe posts an update and releases. It's been a hugely diverse community, and one that's maintained our number one policy in rules for a long time. The number one policy in the rules, by the way, is there's no rules there, but it's like, just, I think it's like, be awesome to each other, or like, be cool to each other, like, and that's been excellent to each other. That is to be excellent to each other, that's it. Something we've always cherished. With our recent growth in last year and the hot topic of LEBs going on, we've noticed some members of the community no longer adhering to these rules, which have held in place our welcoming and supportive community for so long. To ignore this, hope for the best and keep on deving would be the easy thing to do, but we genuinely love how our community has developed over the years, and we won't sit idly by to see it evolve into something less. As caretakers of this Discord, we want to ask everyone to remember your fellow Discord user as is a person. Please treat them with respect and patience. If they lack understanding, guide them. If someone is stepping over the line, remind them to check themselves. Be kind and patient. We'll be more focused on making sure this stays true as our community grows. It's important to remember that we are all people trying to make decentralized staking better for the masses. Treating each other with respect and humility is paramount, and we hope the community focuses on that as we grow even more. One brief example I'd love to give is personal shout out to Toucan Spam. We've had conversations over the years, and I remember when he first started over 4 years ago, he was very new and green. He's evolved into a near Rocket Pool savant with a great attitude. They grow up so fast, but that's what a good positive community produces. So I really like this sentiment. I think it's nice to be reminded once in a while of the foundational ethos of this community. And one thing that I really found interesting here is that Dave saying like to ignore this and hope for the best is not like we want to do, but genuinely we won't sit idly by to see it devolve into something else. So I'm really curious about what ideas they have to doing that. I know like the mods have a very like loose hand when it comes to like community discussions and stuff, but I'm definitely curious to see if Cron will be making more appearances and how that's going to work out. Anyway, like a lot of this stuff is something that I need to think of myself. There were moments yesterday when I was getting quite emotional. I said things that I definitely should not have said or could have said in a much better way. And for that reason, like, I'm sorry for anyone that I offended. However, I also feel like I was on the end of that a few times. And people, I think, yesterday when I was trying to explain my position for flat 24 were not patient with me and did not treat me with respect. And didn't see me as a person, right? They just saw me as someone to knock down because I didn't believe what they believed. So yeah. And when I carried on with those discussions, there were other moments when people were like, oh, how do we like block this person? So I guess that's what it's come down to. When someone's trying to explain something, forget it. I don't want to carry on with that. Okay. So in yesterday's video, I kind of criticized the team a little bit, and I did it in trading as well a few days ago. Or I think maybe it was the other way around, where I did it on trading yesterday and on the thing a couple of days ago. I think that's the thing. So on Rocket Fuel on Monday and then in trading yesterday, I criticized the team in a way about like hiring new people. And Langers sent this really nice message, and he says, hey, Whack Whack Attack, I just wanted to clear something up. SAAS is not going into Atlas primarily because of withdrawals rather than resourcing. Kane has done a lot of work on SAAS, but we keep hitting design walls because withdrawals are hard. Withdrawals had to come first. I see SAAS coming very close behind Atlas, but we had to sort out withdrawals first to be able to complete the design. One area that resourcing might help with is testing, as SAAS is very heavy in that respect. I do accept the criticism about hiring though. The fact is we are not far from our natural capacity, but there are areas where we need more support. Identifying exactly what those roles look like has taken some time. We have in fact approached several promising candidates about roles, but they haven't worked out. We are also figuring out what the team hires and what should be in the community. I'm painfully aware that I sound like a broken record, but our intention is to hire, and thank you for keeping the pressure on. So I think, like, first of all, I really appreciate Langers' message here, and I really like the fact that he's like clarified a few things and really like brought things to attention. But even with Langers, like a couple of days ago in Rocket Fuel, I was talking about how people have been very pointed towards him. There's been like a lot of snark, basically. I don't know how to put it. And I feel like that's not how I do things, right? Like that's not the feeling that I wanted to have. So I'm sorry if I crossed the line with my criticisms. I didn't want to do that. I was just trying to be matter of fact rather than critical. But the fact is that, like, upon reflection, like, we have to realize that ETH staking or crypto staking or like crypto as a whole is bleeding edge technology. There are very, very, very few people in the world who are even aware of what we're doing, let alone those who can actually contribute with code. And then not only that, but we also already have members in the team who are experts in certain kinds of coding. So when you think of it like that, the pool of people who can actually fit into the team and bring something novel to the team is incredibly small and incredibly limited. And it's very hard to find those people, right? Like it's very, very difficult to find those people. So I'm glad that Langers made this post, and it definitely made me reflect on the assumptions that I had about SAAS and about like expanding the team, and it made a lot of sense to me. So thank you for that, Langers. Like, I really appreciate that. Finally, I'm going to end with this thread from Evan. And I've shared a few of Evan's threads before because I think they're really valuable and smart. So Evan here Said, as stated earlier, here are my thoughts on the most recent proposal, a long thread. So Evan starts off by saying how much he loves the community, how he's a part of the community, and he says, for transparency, he's running 2 million pools collateralized at around 100% collateral. And then he goes on to say that basically that he says RPL has achieved monetary premium over ETH, which is an incredibly feat. The recent proposal to cap collateral based on node operator ETH changes this, and it's very bearish in the medium term, 3 to 5 years for RPL in my opinion. Let's run the numbers. And then he runs the numbers here. He says it's not immediately obvious, but the proposal to limit maximum allowed RPL collateral per mini pool to 150% of node operator ETH has a significant negative effect on RPL's tokenomics. And he says, here's the fun thing about valuing RPL. There's a direct connection between RETH and RPL demand. So you can calculate the underlying fundamental demand for RPL denominated in ETH, both today and in the future, and calculate a price target for the RPL ETH ratio. Patches and I both did a calculation separately and arrived at the same number. So that's then there's a link to the spreadsheet and Patches' spreadsheet as well. And he says, as you can do the reverse based on RPL's current valuation, how many RETH should exist today? Based on these numbers, there should be around 590,000 RETH today. This can give us a sense of how overvalued RPL might be if 8 plus the NETH 12 passes. If 8 plus 12 passes, based on numbers in my spreadsheet, RPL is overvalued by a factor of about 4x and will bleed in the ratio basically over the next few years. So right now the ratio is like 0.015. So Evan thinks it'll go down to around 0.0035 to 0.004, somewhere around there, I guess. His LEPs do have the potential to be very positive for Rocket Pool if done correctly. 812 is not what we should want for the community. And then he goes on to actually criticize the actual vote itself and explain his math about a lot more. So he said, with that, I'd like to publicly support the flat 24 ETH option for now until we can have a deeper discussion on how we might solve RPL's liquidity issue without simultaneously breaking its tokenomics. Vote or change your vote to the flat ETH option here, and there's a link to the vote. And then Evan says, I plan on writing a follow-up thread on inflation rewards versus the appreciation of the token, and why appreciation of the RPL token is much healthier form of growth for the protocol. So stay tuned for that. And then Evan was talking about changing the way the votes work for fundamental changes in tokenomics. So yesterday's discussion that I had in trading was because of the spreadsheet that Evan shared in this thread and Patches' spreadsheet especially, and Patches' conclusion about how the Rocket Pool protocol will develop depending on whether we are node operator constrained or RETH constrained. And my thesis was that we will be extremely RETH constrained going forward, and because of that, the higher collateral makes sense for TVL reasons. Now, I'm still figuring out that way of thinking. I've had some discussions with prominent members in the community about that, and I think from the responses that we've had, there's promise in that line of thinking. Others might have shot me down without fully engaging with my ideas or letting me explain them fully, but when people actually sit down and listen to me, then they're not as outlandish as they might seem. So on that note, I'm going to end today's episode because it's a lot, and I'll be back tomorrow. So yeah, have a good day, everyone. Bye.